In today's video, we are going to go over Rangers Rise, the new campaign, and Rise to War. So stick around, let's get it. Welcome back to CO Gaming, and man, it has been a while since I've actually done a video. I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back and making videos. Of course, most people know that to follow me on the regular that I had a child about 8 months ago. He is growing, getting very big. So that is where I've been. I haven't had the time to really put my best effort forward in making these videos. But today, we're going to go ahead and talk about this Rangers Rise campaign and kind of go from there. So we're going to start off with the prestige system. Basically, what you see is for each level of prestige, there's a maximum of 10 levels. It takes so much prestige in certain areas. So to start off with, you need a particular amount of prestige in one zone. And then it just kind of works up to what you see here. To where going to 10, you need 20k prestige in 4 different regions. Of course, it's pretty easy to get if you're on a server that you're actually, I guess you can say you can be competitive and you're not against a larger group that just kind of takes the whole map. But at the same time, it's not too bad. I was able to get to 9 pretty easily, and then I just really had no point in going to 10. It's not needed. It doesn't hinder you from continuing to play the game and fight and be competitive and do the things that you would normally do. So that's pretty much kind of the prestige system. So moving on from that, we'll kind of jump into how you get prestige. So in this campaign, there is a thing called influence. It's probably, in my opinion, one of the better things about this campaign. I do kind of like the influence system. So instead of having, your 216 maximum tiles, they give you a maximum of 46 tiles, which isn't too bad because you don't really need to take tiles other than when you build tents, formerly known as forts, but they call them tents in this campaign. And then, of course, like when you take a barracks that's on the map, which is called a wandering camp on here, those count as those tile takes as well. So the influence system is pretty simple. Basically, you will say you select the tile. We'll actually do something a little bit to kind of get a better view of what you actually can do. So let's say we hit this 200 tile right here. So when we're going to march on this tile, oh wait, I don't have anything garrison. That's great. So let's go put some troops on something real quick. We'll kind of go from there. Let's just throw some troops on this Gandhi the White. And kind of slacking on this one. Till it's been a minute. Alright, so we'll jump back into this. So we will go over, click on this 200 tile, and once you hit influence, as you can tell, it's going to actually influence all these tiles around it. So what this system does is it's going to influence anything under a 200 tile in this radius that you see. So basically, if there's another 200 tile there, it will not influence that tile in particular. It will do anything under. So basically 150 and below, it will influence all one time. As you can tell, it says estimated earnable prestige. I get 581 for this. That is pretty much how that system works. Then, of course, you just take it. It doesn't actually take the tile. It only influences the tile. The command for taking a tile is the same as it was before. You just march on a tile. You take the tile. That tile is yours until somebody else takes it, so on and so forth. So the influence system is one of the better parts of this campaign. If I'm being honest, I actually do like the influence system. I just think it was misused early on in our season in particular, but any new campaign is going to have some problems. We've seen it over and over again. There's problems in pretty much every one of them. So that's what happens when you influence. It will turn green. The only tile that will not actually turn green is the one that I was taking because that tile is claimed. So, but back to kind of the influencing. It's really easy to move. The only problem that I have with influencing is you cannot influence on, say, enemy land. So say your group is trying to go take a keep from somebody, you cannot influence on that land. So you pretty much have to use your 46 tile limit and move through the same way we would move through before. It's not a big deal. You pretty much don't need to claim a bunch of tiles anyway, so it's kind of whatever. But outside of that, that's kind of the one fix that I think I would personally like to see, is maybe doing something different, or at least while you have, like, say, your war buff up, you are able to influence the way you would before, but that's not the case. You can only influence on neutral lands and your own land. So that's kind of that problem. And what I think about that, influencing is pretty good. It's one of the better aspects of it. So we will move from the influencing, and we will go back into the base here and kind of talk about the deputy system. The deputy system is probably the best part of this campaign. It truly does give you the ability to make some of your worst, your least competitive commanders better. It gives you the ability to use some of those people that you just simply wouldn't use in other seasons and other campaigns. But the deputy system is pretty simple. Basically, once you hit level 20 on a lieutenant, which is going to be your main commander that you're going to be playing, it's going to give you this option here to where you can go in, you put a deputy on, can select anybody you want. You cannot use the same deputy on more than one commander. Your lieutenant can never be used as a deputy until you take that deputy off of him or her. So that's pretty much the guidelines for that. And basically what the deputy system does is it gives you his streamlined stats. So like, say we got Gandalf the White here with Theoden on him. So we will go back here and go to our Gandalf the White. And as you can tell, nothing's different there. But if we go to Theoden, when we go in here, you see it gets rid of all the side trees. So you only get the main line trees. So with these buffs, I'm going to get, of course, the attack for mounted units, for running mounted units with the Gandalf the White. You're going to get all of these different things for the units. Commander buffs still only apply to that particular commander. So, this part of commander and allied units, you're going to get some things from the allied units, but if it's only commander, it's always just going to apply to that one, because it's basically you fighting with two commanders at the same time while buffing your initial one. So it's pretty much 2-on-2 all the time, which is a pretty good system. I think there's room for improvement. There's some commanders that just don't work. Some trees that should work that has been patched and they don't work at that point. So it has room for improvement, and I'd like to see it in future campaigns. I just think they need to take the time and truly implement it in the right campaign so it can be really good. But outside of that, the deputy system is okay. So kind of the downfalls to this season is everything else is played the exact same way. Nothing's really any different in that aspect. So the influence system, I'm okay with. The deputy system, I'm okay with. To where you really kind of start to lose me is how you're able to get your troops. So if you choose to stay a ranger and you don't go a lord. So basically what a lord does is you take a ruins. Let's see if we can find a ruins pretty close by. Shouldn't be too hard. They're all over the place for the most part. Okay, so here's the ruins. So basically what you got to do is you got to take one of these spots. Then once you wait out the time period from the season start, which is like a week and a half before anybody can actually become a lord, you become a lord. So what that does is it reverts you back to everything you've known about this game before. It gives you your 216 tiles. You don't have the deputy system. You get all a different ring. So it pretty much what you knew and how you did things before is what you do. You build your standalone barracks. You get more barrack space, so on and so forth. So what I don't like about this campaign, and where it falls completely off the face of the earth for me, is this right here. So, if you stay a ranger, this is your really only true source of recruiting outside of wandering camps. And from what we noticed throughout this season, is it took us a pretty good while to find wandering camps that we, of course, we use, depending on what faction you play, because this campaign's faction based again. You know, if say you play Khaldun, you need evil men. You got to be in Ruin to get evil men. You will find the random camp kind of sitting around, but even then, it's really hard. So this is pretty much your source of recruiting troops. So you get 12 resets. Initially, when it first came out, it was simply 12 resets in a 24-hour period. Now it has a clock on it that it regenerates as you go. You get so many hiring tips. This is the max that you get for once you've did all your fortifications, which we'll get into here in a minute. It's not too bad, but this part of it's where you lose me. So like it's all random. The only thing that you get is you get to select 2 units that you want. But as you can tell, I have men and elves selected, but I'm still getting evil men. And on occasion, let's see here, let's just reset it real quick. So still getting evil men, got dwarfs, you know, so you can still get the other things, and it's never stops giving you T2s. You can't level it up high enough to where you just never get T2s. So this is where you kind of lose me, because not being able to control the troops that you have and it being basically on what I would say is a random generator, I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that at all, and I think that's where this campaign loses a lot of people, especially from this campaign. We were the first group to go into Rangers Rise, so it is pretty nuts. I'm not a fan of it. And then, of course, the wandering camps that you can get is basically the same thing as, you know, your field barracks. You just find them, but you can't build them. You got to find them. And that's the problem with that. You know, you recruit the same way you did before. Outside of that, that's really about the only... That's the real negative for me. I guess another kind of negative for me is like until you get your prestige up. So if you've managed to find yourself in a server that is very competitive and one group just decides they want to take the whole map, then you start to get very little ranger coins. So that's a problem as well, which makes it hard to keep recruiting troops. So moving on, your fortifications. This is how you do your upgrades, like normally you do your building upgrades. Go in, level up your barracks, level up, you know, your training camp, your, you know, all your different things, your grain production, your conscription post, all that stuff. That's basically what this is. It just gives it to you to where everything else costs gold, and these little tickets right here. So the only way you can actually get these tickets, which is another flaw with this, if you ask me, is through this way. Every 6 hours this resets, and you can get a maximum of 3 tickets. Depending on what your prestige is, you can get less. As you can tell, I'm only getting 2. I don't have very much prestige right now. So that is a problem. This is also how you get your ranger coins. It's really the only way to get ranger coins. The only other way to get ranger coins is through like the old market system, to where you can get them with the resets, or if you just do the one every day. That's the only way to get ranger coins. That's the only way to get the actual things to do your fortifications. This is how you will open your barracks that is smaller than being a lord. Your barracks for this campaign is 853 is the highest you can get. If you're a ranger, if you go lord, you got your normal barracks. That's pretty much that in a nutshell. Outside of that, I would just honestly say there is good and there is definitely bad with this campaign. I don't really want to give my judgment because I've only played it once. I will probably say this much: I will never play it again. I do not really like this campaign. I think it truly is one of those situations that if you get a faction in your server that is just mega weld or large group in one faction and it is allowed to happen, you're pretty much done. Like, that's just the way this campaign is. It's a very, I think it was designed to really slow the game down, but in my opinion, it did the complete opposite. It did not slow the game down. It just made people push harder to move across the map faster because, you can't influence after keeps have been taken, so you got to do it the hard way. So the more you spread from the start and the faster you move, the more ground you cover. So I think it kind of backfired in that aspect of slowing things down because it definitely does not slow it down. It makes you want to move faster. And I think that's where some people in our season in particular got caught off guard. I think people were trying to play that slow game and truly learn the system. And we just so happened to be with a group that it wasn't allowed to happen. Like, we were fighting on day 2. So, yeah, like that's pretty much that. Overall view, like I said, there's good, there's bad. I do think there's more negative in this campaign than there is good. I personally don't like it. I think if it's something you're interested in, you should definitely play it and experience it for yourself to see if you do like it. The deputy system is something I would really like to see in future campaigns, just not a campaign like this. I think it could be really fun. Say like Kingdom Men or something like that. Something related to that type of campaign. But outside of that, this campaign, there was too much done at one time, and I'm not a fan. Another kind of note here is the ring does change. So this is the ring if you're a ranger. Clearly, ranger, max level 100. Still get the 30 ability points. Nothing like that changes. The one thing you don't get compared to being a lord, which is, in my opinion, another benefit of being a lord, it's just you're not as strong as a ranger because you have no deputies, is like mock battling is pretty much useless. This is the only extra experience you get from mock battling, is that 10%. Other than that, mind sharpen, that's pretty much it. So it's really not worth it. It's not a whole lot of experience, and it takes forever to try to get a 50 that way. One of the broken ways to level in this campaign that I feel like needs to be fixed is hitting ruins. So that is the best source of getting XP on commanders in this campaign, is you just get 2 or 3 ruins, hit them. It literally gives you more than you get from ints, the old int farming way. So you get a ton of experience off of that, and you level really fast. But outside of that, that's pretty much it. There's not really a whole lot left to say about this campaign. Like I said, I think there's good, I think there's bad, but I personally don't like it. As you can tell, we didn't have like a terribly unbalanced server, but people's been allowed to take some stuff back to get some rewards. This was primarily a ruin server, so it's been a fun one. But I hope you liked the video. As normal, I am super glad to be back making videos. The goal is to put out as much content as possible. So subscribe to the channel. It helps tremendously, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Until next time, CO out.